Every team, every topic, everywhere. This is Believe.
And welcome into a preview edition of the the Believe in Carolina Panthers podcast. I'm your host, Desmond Johnson, joined by Sports Illustrated beat writer Schuyler, Callihan, and the Panthers' all-time leading rusher, Jonathan Stewart. You can listen or watch this episode or any previous episodes of the Believe in Panther podcast on the Believe Podcast Network. Any major podcast platform you can find us on, just search Believe in Carolina Panthers. Or if you want to watch it, you can actually go to YouTube and search for Tobacco Road Sports Radio's channel. The videos typically parked there. A lot to get to today. We'll get you in and out and get you ready for Panthers versus Bucs this Sunday, 1 o'clock on Fox. Our first time seeing Tom Brady this year. Of course, it's Thursday, and you guys know what that is when it's Thursday here on the Believe in Carolina Panthers podcast. It's Tell Them Why You're Mad Thursday.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you why we mad, son.
Where we basically give you something that we saw this week. It's got to be football related, not necessarily Panther related, but more oftentimes than not this season, it's been Panther related, where we're angry about something that's happened this week. Stu, what's up, brother? Got a little bit of a eventful week, I would say. What's been going on in your life?
Well, everybody understands and knows, where I was coming from with the Robbie Anderson stance. Obviously, I know Robbie's heart was in the right place. That's one thing I think everybody can respect about Robbie. A guy that's passionate about the game, passionate about his abilities. And, I think the Cardinals, is an opportunity for him to go out there and manage that. I think they have a way better quarterback situation. And I think, that was consequential to what really went down on this past Sunday. Obviously the Carolina Panthers have been struggling in that department of delivering the football to the receivers. And as a former player, I understand those frustrations from, you wanting to go out there and make these plays and at the end of the day, too, a lot of people don't understand receivers, tight ends, running backs, position, skill guys, take a lot of, heat for a bad quarterback play sometimes. And because at the end of the day, it's kind of like everyone gets tired or exhausted of talking about a specific player. So they go on to the next thing. Right. And so it's the receivers. So let's micromanage why, the passing game isn't working when everybody knows why it's not working. It's because of quarterback play. And so I understand Robbie's heart and all of that. And I appreciate, his willingness to try to, call things out, through his time being here and trying to figure out the answers. I think he's a smart football player. And, at the end of the day, I hope that he has success, going forward with the Arizona Cardinals. And I'll just leave it at that.
I will say this, though, before we move off this whole Robbie situation, because Robbie's not here. Robbie's not a Panther anymore. So we're not going to devote a whole lot of time to a player that's no longer part of the active roster. But I will say this. Let this be a lesson learned to anyone that reacts to something on social media without seeing the full context of whatever it was. Because all this really happened because he reacted to a minute-long clip that Believe clipped out. And it was in context to a greater conversation that we were all having, which was basically, you're getting paid a lot of money professionally. Act professional. Don't act unprofessionally on the sideline. That was really the gist of that part of that conversation. We were more taken aback by how he acted towards his superior, his position coach, and not just once, but multiple times. And it was almost like he was trying to show him up without realizing he was showing him up on national TV. And it made Stephen A. Alluded to this on Monday. It made Steve Wilkes look bad. It made the program look bad. Yeah. It just made everything look like just disoriented. And it was something
especially for the root of it, right? I mean,
right, yeah, because we all knew why he was upset. Like, but you don't have to show it that way. That was really
Right.
our thing. So my thing is to all the fans, because when I was going through this, you pulled yourself out of it after it initially went down. You told us Monday night, and I kind of knew what was about to happen when I woke up Tuesday morning. It was all over the place, and I went to bat for you on a couple of these threads. Like I went in there, arms swinging.
Yeah, I better watch out for Desmond. I better watch out.
Yeah, I don't deal with trolls very well on social media, so like I'll go right after them. And my main thing I realized that I was having to say was, y'all need to go and maybe listen to the full conversation before you hop on and comment about this, because they were commenting about how Robbie was right. He wouldn't get in the football. We didn't disagree with that. That's not what we were even talking about. And that's kind of my point. So people need to kind of, before you get on social media and start blasting people for having an opinion, make sure your opinion is fact-based. Like, make sure your opinion is actually what you're arguing about, because a lot of times these people were in here arguing stuff that we weren't even talking about. So we'll leave that there.
The last thing I have to say about the Robbie situation is that wasn't the reason why he was traded. They were already interested in moving him prior to that, but that was more like the final straw.
And I thought about it too. He was a Matt Rule guy also. Played for Matt Rule at Temple. PJ Walker's a Matt Rule guy. He played for him at Temple too, if I'm not mistaken. So the Matt Rule guys that are on this roster probably need to keep their head on a swivel anyway, because I catch the vibe that they're kind of slowly but surely going to get rid of those guys that are here by association. And I don't even know how many people are left on the roster that got in that way. Probably more the back half of the roster spots that got filled in. But we'll keep an eye on that. So before we get to Tell Them Why You're Mad Thursday and our Panthers versus Bucs preview, a quick word from our sponsors at BetOnline. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to wager on all of your favorite sports, contests, and events with first-to-market odds and lines. Find reviews and news for every league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all your sports information, from live in-game betting, props, and futures. Head to BetOnline today or use your mobile device to join today and make your first sports bet. Use the promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, to receive your welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline, where the game starts. And actually, where we start, let's check in with Schuyler on an injury report. And I'm kind of putting you on the spot, Schuyler, but I saw a video of Baker Mayfield running like a 40-yard dash down the field yesterday, and I was like, what? I thought he had a torn ligament in his ankle. And I'm seeing Sam Darnold coming off of IR and starting this 21-day window or whatever that they call it. Give us an update on Sam Darnold and Baker Mayfield's injury situation. They already named PJ Walker the starter for Sunday, but have you seen anything that make you think that an 03 Jake Delhomme situation might happen, where, you got Rodney Peete playing first half, team looks flat, Jake comes in, started the second half, starts throwing darts all over the place. I don't even know how. Do you see that occurring in the situation with Sam Darnold or Baker Mayfield maybe getting some run in the second half? Are they that far along injury-wise, or am I just not wanting to see PJ Walker for two halves?
Yeah, I think you just don't want to see PJ Walker for two halves.
I might too.
With Baker, it's a tough thing, because we always know that Baker will play through pain, and he's done it a lot throughout his career, both in college and at the pro level. And Steve Wilkes kind of talked about it last week, that when he worked out last Friday ahead of the game, that he was almost surprised by the results of the MRI that came back, because there was more damage in there than they expected. And when they saw him working out last Friday, they're like, they wouldn't have even thought that would have been the result of the MRI. So they're kind of playing it cautiously with him. And yes, he is moving around very good. It's just still too early, I would think, in the recovery stage to really throw him back out there in that situation, because it only takes one little hit or one little twist of that ankle, and all of a sudden you're talking maybe out for the year. So
yeah,
they want to keep it safe with him. In regards to Sam, you can still tell he's still trying to get that confidence back in that ankle. Like, I can't really speak to it, because I've never had an ankle injury. I've just heard a lot about them, and that it's you can't really even play on it. Even if you're 50, 60%, you can't really go out there and play on it if you don't trust it. And right now, I think he's still trying to figure out how much trust and confidence he has in that ankle to actually hold up. but I would say he's probably going to be back within the next couple of weeks. Obviously, they have the 21-day window, so if he doesn't return in the next 21 days, then he'll be out for the remainder of the season. So I expect him back, obviously, within the next 3 weeks, but maybe within the next 2.
And thank you for explaining that, because I kept hearing 21-day window, but they never fully explained what it meant. For you to explain what that means to the audience is huge. Any other injuries that we need to know about going into Sunday that are concerned? Anybody? Pull up the injury report here. Anybody comes to mind that we need to know?
Frankie Louvu dealing with that shoulder injury. J.C. Horn, he popped up earlier in the week too. I think he had an ankle too. But we just spoke to Al Holcomb, the defensive coordinator. He feels pretty optimistic about their chances. So if they're able to go out there, that's obviously huge, because you're going to need every bit of pass rush and every bit of secondary help when you go against Tom Brady.
And I will say, for the other side, the Tampa Bay injury list, there's some noticeable names on that missed practice on Wednesday. Julio Jones has a knee issue. Akeem Hicks, the defensive lineman, has a foot issue. Tight end Cameron Brate has a neck issue. Shaq Mason, the starting right guard, he missed Wednesday's practice, which is good for us because Tampa Bay's interior offensive line is a dumpster fire right now due to injuries. Sean Murphy Bunting, the cornerback, he has a quad injury. He didn't participate in practice on Wednesday either. Of course, Christian McCaffrey doesn't practice on Wednesdays, so he didn't practice yesterday. But, of course, the Panthers have a few as well. It looks like I'm looking to see if I can see they haven't ruled anybody officially out yet. So we'll keep an eye on that. I'm trying to see if there's anybody else that I missed on that list.
We should have another injury report for the Panthers here within like the next hour or so. So
okay.
I'll have that out on our site and probably tweet it out too.
All right. And then guys like, for us, guys like J.C. Horn, he was limited participation. Pat Eflon didn't participate. Of course, Mayfield. Laviska Shenault still out with the hamstring. He was limited. Dante with the ankle. So we're coming to this game limping a little bit, but so is Tampa, to be honest. Tampa coming to this game 3-3. I thought, just from listening if you listen to the talking heads, Tom Brady's having the worst year ever. Then I moseyed over and looked at his stats, and I don't know where people are getting this from, but Tom Brady is having a Tom Brady year. He's completing 67% of his passes. He's got 1,652 yards in 6 games, 8 touchdowns to 1 interception. He's got a 95.1 quarterback rating. So he's still Tom Brady. So let's just stop.
I will say this to that point, though. Like, Tom Brady is Tom Brady, but I think a lot of his, I think I read something like Leonard Fournette is his top targeted receiver.
Yeah, he doesn't really have a lot of deep targets right now.
And so Mike Evans is healthy. He's been playing the last 2 weeks, I guess, off of that 1-game suspension, right? Or is it 3 weeks? I'm not sure. But
yeah.
But I look at that as a smoke sign because for whatever reason, he's not seeing the field like he used to, but he does understand the game. So if he's in trouble, you check it down, right? You look for your check down.
He knows his whole career. Yeah.
So, which is actually kind of a lesson to, quarterbacks out there. If you're in trouble, check it down. But especially I think we can
a great check down receiver or running back or somebody to check it down to. Just keep taking the easy money.
But I would think that, whatever the effects are, you hear him talking about the offensive line, the injuries, that we know that there's injuries, but they're actually not allowing a lot of pressures. Statistically, they're not leading the league in pressures, on Tom Brady. I honestly think that he's been in his head a little bit, and hopefully he's in his head this week because we're going to need that.
It would be a good pickup if we go to Florida and pull one out versus Tampa, another division game. We haven't had a division game since we beat the Saints. We're still 1-0 in the division. I know everyone's like, we're 1-5. Let's tank the season. Let's not even show up on Sunday. Nah, that ain't what we're doing. You see the thing that's right below, keep pounding. That's kind of the whole mantra. Like, we got to keep fighting through what's happening. It's still early in the season.
I think the numbers don't always paint the full picture sometimes too, because I think if you go back and look at a lot of those games where he may put up decent numbers, like the offense is still struggling at various points in the game, and it's almost too little, too late sometimes. If you take the Kansas City Chiefs game out, it's a very middling offense. Like,
Yeah.
I think they scored like 31 points that game. Every other game, I swear I turn on the channel and they are struggling to move the ball, struggling to get first downs. Like it's not the same Tom Brady Buccaneer offense that you've seen in the last couple of years that actually scares you to death. Where this year it's kind of like the talent's there, but it's just not necessarily what it's been.
Let's circle back around. We're going to finish out the episode with our preview and our predictions for the game, our keys to the game. Panthers versus Tampa Bay, 1:00 p.m. kickoff on Fox this Sunday. But it's Thursday, guys. And on Thursday, what we do here at the Believe in Carolina Panthers podcast, a little something called Tell Them Why You Mad.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you why we mad, son. I'm going to tell you why we mad, son.
Where we've had a whole week to kind of simmer and stew in something that's been bothering us football related. Doesn't have to be Panther related, although again, most times this season in particular, one of us has had something Panther related that's coming to this segment here. We'll go around the circle, tell them why you're mad this week. Schuyler, I know you said you were kind of trying to figure out which one you wanted to use, so of course I'm going to start off with you. As you sit in the basement of Bank of America Stadium, I believe. What did you see this week that just got you hot and bothered?
Yeah, I'm going to tell you why we mad, son. I'm going to tell you why we mad, son.
I could go a lot of different ways. I'm just going to go with the Panthers, okay? We're going to go with Ben McAdoo. And I understand that you want to keep the game plan short and simple, as simplified as possible when you have a backup quarterback in the game. But this isn't PJ's first rodeo, okay? And it's not that he's got a ton of experience under his belt, but he's played in games before where they threw the ball down the field and they won both those games. Again, I'm not saying you have to do that all game long, but the fact that they threw the ball beyond the line of scrimmage, I think like a handful of times, if that, I think he had one completion beyond the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, it was like 5 yards or something like that too.
I mean, and I know we talked about it earlier this week, so I won't spend a whole lot of time on it. But like, again, when you do it early on and you're catching the defense by surprise, okay, that's good and great. But at some point, that defense, Raheem Morris, he's good enough to understand, like, hey, we need to fix something. So they're going to play closer to the line. They're going to bring their safeties down, and they're going to make you beat them over the top. That's what they did. Ben McAdoo didn't adjust. And that's why he continued to see 3 and out after 3 and out after 3 and out. There's 5 consecutive 3 and outs in that game, from the third drive of the game all the way into the third quarter. That can't happen.
They never adjusted. It felt like
they didn't.
It felt like the Rams figured out what we were going to do and adjusted, and we're like, okay, it's your turn. And then we just never adjusted. We kept trying to do the same offense.
It was almost like that they were banking on the defense and the special teams, and then to hopefully, just have a missed assignment somewhere on the defense to where Christian just breaks a big run.
Yep.
And you can't bank on that. You've got to be able to have a balanced offense. Like, I don't care how good your run game is. You still got to be able to have the threat to throw the ball, especially downfield.
Well, let me ask you this, because Schuyler, you're actually at the practices every week. From what you've seen this week so far, what have you seen with PJ in terms of do they have him throw it downfield in practice? Like, I feel like, we've seen him multiple times, and either coming in the end of games, he had started 2 games prior to the one on Sunday. I don't really remember him having an issue with his arm.
Well,
it was weird. It was weird on Sunday, the game plan they had. I'd be shocked if they came out with that same game plan again. What do you see in practice?
Well, you may be surprised by this, but we don't get to see much. Stu may know this too. We're out there for maybe 15. When Matt Rule was here, we were out there for 15 minutes. We watched stretches, a little bit of special team stuff now and then. And Wilkes has extended that to 30 minutes, but it's still not anything where you're really gaining information. We're not getting to see them throw. So it's nothing, to be honest with you, whatever I see on Sunday is the first time I'm seeing it just leg out. So
that's the way it should be.
That's
right. Yeah. as soon as I said it out loud, I was like, well, you kind of don't want the media in there. Practice.
Gonna have the media in there spreading out. Oh, they're gonna be running reverses this week.
All week
Hey,
this
they
week.
threw
So
a lot of
that's
swing
good.
passes this week. Hey, they're gonna have that boot ready for your ass.
Y'all keep it going.
Now, I will
Man,
say this. I will say this though. Back in training camp, when we were there for the entire practice, they would throw the ball down the field with PJ. So it's not like they don't trust him or don't believe in him. It's just kind of a frame of thinking, I guess, really,
conservative.
as
They
for
were
him
super-
of being out there for the entire game rather than
Yeah.
just getting reps in practice.
And I'll say this too. I think where Wilkes is coming from is he's realizing his defense is injured. They're wounded, right? So if we can run the ball,
They
and
can't
we
stay
can
on the
keep
field for 80
ball,
snaps.
if we can extend drives by running the clock, literally, time of possession would be the defense's best friend, right?
Which they did first quarter. First quarter,
which they did beautifully because I mean I was round of
hyped.
applause. I was
Yeah.
hyped. Well, I was like,
He
man,
was
this
on-
is
he was on
beautiful.
socials, he was on everything,
And then I was like, dang, can we do a boot? Something, little play action.
Yeah, please. Can we stop throwing it parallel to the line like every play? We try to run.
But again, you know, I appreciate that they have stated that they have a game plan and that they're sticking with it, and that at least we can expect to see something going into a game.
That was a bright spot for me after I got away from the game. I was like, well, at least I had an idea of what they were trying to do. Where the past couple of weeks, we had no idea what the game plan was in the middle of the game. So we at least got a flavor of, okay, they're trying to run the ball, they're trying to hold the clock, all that stuff. So if they can just expand that a little bit, throw a little play action in there. Now's the time to run RPO, Ben McAdoo. Like, run it now. Why you got PJ Walker in there? Because he can do it, and he's actually a threat to run the football. If you really want to run it like that, it's an RPO now. Like, it just makes sense. So I like Ben McAdoo. I think I had him a couple weeks ago. I didn't want to keep hating on Ben. I will, but I don't want to keep hating on the man. Jay Stu, you got plenty of reasons to be upset this week, but you took it all in stride. Tell them why you mad today, brother.
Yeah, I'm gonna tell you why we mad, son. I'm gonna tell you why we mad, son.
Nah, man. So I'm mad at Bill Belichick.
Oh,
I'm not. It's more like I'm hating. Okay,
that counts. That calls. We'll allow that.
This man is. There's no way they should be 3-3, but they
I don't
are.
understand what voodoo they're doing up there because I can't name. Can you name 3 Patriots players?
I can't. I can't right now.
Either.
Off the top of my head, I can't. Maybe Stevenson or something. No, that's That's LA Rams running back.
I know Mac Jones, quarterback.
Mac Jones,
Bailey Zappi.
Bailey Zappi, the rookie. He was a rookie.
Name some guys. Keep naming them.
Can we name 5 Patriots
Matthew
players?
Judon, is he still there?
Ah, man, who?
I don't even know.
Man, judo, jiu-jitsu.
Matthew Judon.
Oh,
what position is he?
Pass rush.
He's got a bunch of just.
But I'm telling you, man. But I'm mad because they're 3-3 on our Panther roster. We have way more players than they do, and for whatever reason, I mean, they got quarterback issues too, but they making it go, and I'm upset about that. So I'm hating on the Patriots right now, and that's why I'm mad because Bill Belichick is clearly a great coach, and he's proving it to us every year of why he is a GOAT. And
you'll never see me walk you off the ledge when it comes to hating on the Patriots. Like that, just I'll stand there with you proudly because I'm with you because I'm like, dang, this situation would be for starters, Matt Rule will probably still be here, but this situation would be completely different if I just went 2-2 in those first 4 games. Like the fact that 3 of the first 4 were home games, I think really sticks out the most to me because now it's like, okay, we just got a bunch of road games coming up here against teams that are struggling too, but they're not struggling the same way we are. It feels like half the fan base understands what's going on, and the other half feels like we should just tank the season and trade away all of our players. And I'm just like,
no,
I don't understand that logic. Like why are we trading away players? Like why is half the league after our players when apparently we don't have any? That's something that's been bothering me. I think Schuyler had a phone call, so he'll be back on here in just a bit. For me,
Yo, I'm gonna tell you why we mad, son. I'm gonna tell you why we mad, son.
I'm kind of mad at Sam Darnold. I'm mad at Sam Darnold right now because him coming back into this situation has given me renewed hope that maybe something could be salvaged from this year, where I was ready to throw Sam away with the garbage like last, beginning of the offseason.
Dang,
So for
with the
him,
garbage.
yeah, man,
That's
he
terrible, man.
he looked awful, like awful, like when he came back in. And I was just like, I was going to give Baker Mayfield a shot, and I was excited about it because of the play of Sam Darnold. The fact that now we're down to PJ Walker and Jacob Eason at quarterback, it makes Sam Darnold look better by default. And I hate that. I hate the fact that I'm having to look back at Sam Darnold again and go, well, maybe Sam come in and rattle off a couple of wins. Because I do remember when Sam did look good the first 3 weeks of the season to me last year, but that's because he had a healthy Christian McCaffrey. He's got a healthy Christian McCaffrey right now and a much better offensive line than he had last year, where he only got maybe like 2 seconds plus to even get set to throw the ball. Put Sam behind that.
So you're really mad that there's an opportunity where 90% of Panther Nation could be proven wrong.
Yeah.
About Sam
pretty
Darnold.
much. Everybody, like all of us, like we'll all just be like, oh, well, he did have it. Matt Rule did understand what was going on, but it just, I'm worried and not worried. I do want us to win football games. Of course, I don't want us to go, 1-16 or whatever. Like that's not a good situation to be in when you're doing a podcast on the team twice a week. I want them to be successful. I want them to figure it out. I'm curious to see how Sam and Baker are now that Wilkes is the head coach. And I'm wondering if he'll allow them to kind of loosen up a bit in terms of the offensive playbook once those guys are in there. Because they took they took all the first string snaps in training camp and preseason. So it looks like Sam might be back maybe before Baker. I actually would be shocked. I would not be shocked if Sam is named the starter for next week at this rate. So he's kind of made me frustrated that I'm having to depend on Sam Darnold to save my season. Like if he becomes the savior of the 2022 Carolina Panthers season, it's going to be one of those things where none of us are going to forget where we were when Sam Darnold came in and threw 4 touchdowns against the Falcons or whatever it might be.
Right.
So we'll see what happens with that. But that's kind of my tell them why you're mad for the moment here. I was waiting on, Schuyler was in the basement of Bank of America Stadium. Usually when he drops off like that, it's a phone call that came through.
Because the service there is pretty good. So I can only imagine you must be busy getting calls.
Yeah. He's in the middle of the day. The Hornets have started too, and he's the beat writer for the Charlotte Hornets as well. And Hornets with a huge win last night. Biggest season opening win in franchise history. And I saw a lot of people writing them off. Charlotte fans got to calm down. Charlotte fans need to chill a bit.
Yeah, shout out to my boy Gordon, man. He went off last night. He had a good game.
Yeah, LaMelo didn't even play last night. He's got the hurt ankle. I saw a bunch of people writing off these Panthers before. Not the Panthers, the Hornets before they even got on the court. And I'm like, people are like, is Charlotte the worst sports city in America and all this other stuff? And I'm like, let them play. Let them play games.
Yeah, man.
Team is 26
speculation, man. Speculation.
Man, so I just got a message. We got a message from Schuyler. Yo, Stu, jinx me. My internet isn't working. Running to the other side of the stadium to try to get back on. So I could picture Schuyler just
go outside,
just running around the thing inside to try to get there. While he's doing that, let's get over to the preview Panthers versus Bucs this Sunday. A couple of facts to know. Carolina's 24-19 all time against the Bucs. Currently, right now, Tampa has a 4-game win streak against Carolina. The last time Carolina's last home win against Tampa came in November of 2018. I'm sorry, I kept saying this was supposed to be a road game. It's not. It's actually they're at home. Yeah, they're at home this Sunday at 1 p.m. Panthers are 1-5. The Bucs are 3-3. Their last home win against Tampa came in November of 2018. General manager Jason Licht from the Buccaneers was previously a scout for the Panthers in '98. When we start looking at the stats, though, Tampa, we're dead last in the league in total yards per game. for offense. Tampa is only averaging 332 yards per game. That's 21st in the league. So they're middling there. They have allowed 264 yards in the pass game. Only they're allowing 67.5, or excuse me, no, they're rushing for 67.5 yards a game. That's dead last in the league. Do you think that's something we can exploit, Stu? The fact that the Bucs can't run the football, because it feels like the ones that have really beaten us with time of possession have been ones like the Browns, the Giants, that have been able at some point of the game run the football and keep it away from us. Do you think the lack of being able to run the football with Tampa might be something we can exploit?
I most definitely think it is something we can exploit, because clearly, like I said earlier, pass protection hasn't been an issue for them. And I don't know if it's because the quarterback play of Tom getting the ball out quick or whatnot. But I do know that if you can stop the run, it makes it hard, on the quarterback and the offensive coordinator to really get plays going, down the field. And the more opportunities you can get 3 and outs, the more opportunities our offense gets. I know that. So I would love to see us attack their running game. What you have to do is you have to make sure you get a guy like Leonard Fournette. You have to get to him before he gets going. Obviously, he's a talented runner, knows how to make guys miss in the backfield. So you're gonna have to come in and again wrap up fundamentals. You're not gonna come in there and knock him over. You got to wrap up and make the tackle. And I just think that we've managed to have games where we have shown that we can stop the run. And so I think that's a game. This is a game where we can go in and be physical, have the protect this house mentality. You're back home. You went on an away game, so you're back home. This is a division game. You got to take it personal. If there's guys that are young playing this game, I need you to just step your game up on defense. On offense, Christian McCaffrey, their run defense, Tampa's run defense is pretty stout. Yeah. They're pretty stingy in that department, but because we have Christian McCaffrey, we're not like the average running team. So I still think you lean heavy on the run. You take things that you did last week with the game plan and you add it to this one, and you just find the perfect balance that's needed for this team to excel and to play complementary football. I definitely think keeping the ball away from Tom Brady is what we need to have in the back of our brains as we're going into this game.
The Bucs are only averaging like 20 points per game. We're averaging 17.2. Third down efficiency, they're at 37%. We're at 23%. They have protected Tom fairly well. They've only allowed 9 sacks, but me knowing Tom Brady in the back of my head, Tom likes to get the ball out like within like 2 seconds of having it in his hands. He's not going to sit there and wait. He don't really do the long drawn out routes or whatever, and that keeps him clean. So I understand the logic there. It's gonna be a lot of quick routes, slants, things like that. He'll take his shots, and he still has the arm for it. But he understands the offensive line he has in front of him. Hell, he was yelling at him on the sideline Sunday. So we'll see how that plays out. I do think it's a good matchup with our defense against the Tampa offense. There are some things I think we can exploit, and I'd love to see Coach Holcomb draw up some blitzes, draw up some safety blitzes or something to keep Tom guessing on where the pressure is going to come from. Because if I had to say, Tom Brady is the one quarterback that I despise the most in all of the NFL, like for my life, because he beat my Panthers in a Super Bowl, and I've carried that since 2003, 2004 when they played that game. And he tends to win games he's not supposed to win, I guess, or not supposed to win, but he wins games where you go into it like this is a toss up, or it's not gonna go the way we think. And then Tom goes in and just plays like a clean game from the pocket. For me, I've always said when you play Tom Brady, you have to get him out of the box. Like him and Peyton Manning were the greatest to me in operating in this like 2 foot by 2 foot box behind the line of scrimmage. You didn't really see them bootleg out. They stay right there. If you can get them out that box, think of the Giants the 2 times they played him in the Super Bowl. They were harassing him with a 4-man front the whole game and making him get out that box, like making him having to move around. Same with with us in 2015 against the Broncos with Peyton. That if we had won that Super Bowl, that defense would have went down with I think the lowest amount of yards allowed in a Super Bowl game or something to that effect. And they were making Peyton had an awful game in that game.
Yeah.
They were making him run, like move around or whatever, because he couldn't stay in his box. They like to stay there.
You gotta take away that clock in their head. You know, like the good quarterbacks have that clock. You know, 1, 2, 3. I'm releasing the ball 4.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's kind of like that.
It's like 1, 2, boop,
boop.
2.
Oh, that first read's open. Okay.
Yeah, there it is. I don't even gotta look at the rest of them. And to be honest, you probably don't trust a lot of them at this point, too. I think Mike Evans is back, but yeah, I can't. Who do they have? They have what's that kid's name? My mind just went blank. They've got some stuff out there, but their stats don't show that they're actually really pushing it down the field. I know Panther fans are feeling kind of down right now. I will give you a couple of bright spots here. I'm hoping that Schuyler can get back in here before we get out. And
Schuyler, if you hear us, please.
Yeah, come on home, man. Where you at? You disappeared. Week 6, Christian McCaffrey had 158 of the team's 212 scrimmage yards versus the Rams. He has 670 scrimmage yards this season. That ranks 4th in the entire NFL. And keep in mind, that's with the first 2 weeks or so, them not really even including him in the game plan. So this has really happened over the past like 2 or 3 weeks. The Panthers scored their NFL best 3rd defensive touchdown of the season last week when Dante Jackson took that interception back for the pick 6. The franchise record for the Panthers for defensive TDs is 4, and that was set in 2013 and 2015. And if you recall, both of those years, if I'm not mistaken, we won the division title. So keep that in mind. I don't know what that means for us going forward, but
you know what that means.
I wasn't say nothing out loud.
It ain't far away, everybody.
Derek Brown has had a career high 7 tackles last week and a half sack against the Rams.
Man, let's give Derek Brown some love right now, man.
He leads all defensive linemen in the league with 6 passes defended. His PFF grade is 89.9 and ranks 4th among all qualified defensive tackles. Derek Brown is doing his thing right now.
Guys like that playing at that level is what we need. I mean, whatever he's been eating in the morning, please eat that. I don't know if you eat your Wheaties, donuts, steak and eggs, whatever it is. Keep doing it, my brother, because you out there balling, Derek.
And if you're a defensive tackle when we're talking about you, that means you're really doing something, because they don't never get any kind of credibility for any. I mean, you got your Warren Sapps and guys like that, Aaron Donald, for instance. But Aaron Donald gets mentioned because you need like 3 dudes to guard this guy legit sometimes. And Derek Brown, I've seen film of him when he was at Auburn when he was at Auburn, Alabama, threw 3 guys at him to try to guard him because they just couldn't deal with him. And we didn't really hear a lot about him last year. But now maybe they're putting him in some situations where he can really be used effectively. Some things to keep an eye on, Panther fans, as we go into this game. DJ Moore needs 4 receptions to pass Wesley Walls for 5th most in franchise history. McCaffrey needs 1 scrimmage touchdown to break a tie with Moose Muhammad and move into 5th place in Panthers history.
That's insane. He's got that many touchdowns already in his young career.
God, and he missed basically 2 years, and he's right there at it. Burns needs 3 sacks to tie Quan Short for 7th in franchise history. Dante Jackson needs 1 more interception. He's got 13. He'll tie Doug Evans and Richard Marshall for 5th in franchise history. So a couple things there. Some guys on this team, they got some stuff that they can deal with. Our special teams unit has been playing well. They're ranked 4th in the entire league with a 91.1 grade. They've blocked 2 field goals. That ranks 4th in the league with field goal made percentage. There's some bright spots on this team. They're not that far away. And we've talked about why there's two conversations going on. A, the Panthers need to bottom out. They need to just trade all these players while they can get some value for them. And then there's the B of, this team doesn't have any players. That's why they're losing football games. It can't be both. It can't be we got all these players that the league is circling around like vultures that they want to get. And then at the same time, we're not good enough to win football games because we don't have good players. Like those two things, that dog don't hunt, basically. Like it just don't fit together.
That dog don't hunt. Boy, you so country.
Dog don't hunt, man. This idea, this Christian McCaffrey to the Bills thing that keeps going around. The trade deadline is in 10 days or 11 days. It's November the 1st. Do you honestly even see them trading Christian McCaffrey this year?
I honestly hope not. Obviously I understand the nature of this business very well. I understand the nature of his value, and I understand why, if you were not emotionally attached to this situation, you can say, yeah, this makes sense. But I really hope that they don't. I think Christian McCaffrey's value is best in a Carolina Panther uniform. Because if you just add a couple more pieces to the puzzle, you have a team that can be a playoff oriented team. And, you have a defense when healthy, is practically stacked. I mean, so especially with the play of recent, with Derek Brown being effective, in between the tackles. And then you got Brian Burns on the edge. I think Frankie Louvu being healthy just adds a whole nother dimension to what we can do on defense. So I don't know, man. I really, would love to see Christian stay here in Carolina. So, that's where, I'm going to bed thinking about, is, hey, my guy staying in the black and blue.
It doesn't make sense to me to trade off your best player in the middle of the season when you're not getting blown out. You're losing games because of clock management or execution or something to that effect. And for the granted, take last week's loss away because I got away with this in the end. But for the most part, the Panthers are losing one possession games. And to me, that's just that getting over the hump that Matt Roll used to say all the time. At the end of the day, we got to get over the hump. Like that whole thing. I don't feel like we need to trade anyone really on the roster to try to, I don't know, this mythical idea that multiple draft picks are going to make us better. Like
I think
we've been drafting for the past 2 years. Like
I think if you look at the beginning of the season when everyone was healthy, everything came down to execution. It's all going to be execution. You can have all the players in the world, but if you don't have execution, then you're really, shooting yourselves in the foot. If you're not playing free or you're overthinking as a player, if you're not, putting guys in the best positions, to excel and not understanding your personnel, those things are shooting yourself in the foot. So execution on the players' behalf, execution on, the coordinating behalf is pivotal to winning football games. Execution.
I think we have Schuyler back. Schuyler, can you hear us? Your mic's muted. There you go. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
There you go. Yeah, we got you.
I think the camera's making it go weird. I don't know.
It could be pulling a little bit more bandwidth with that camera on. No worries.
You must got a Samsung or something.
My fiance was just giving me crap about this the other day. She's like, "Man, you got an iPhone 10. You're like, you need to upgrade." I'm like,
"Oh yeah, that's what it is." Apple don't play with you, boy. Apple trying to tell you it's time for you to upgrade.
You know what? There is probably somebody sitting in Cupertino at Apple, like with a knob, like, "Oh, Schuyler thinks he's gonna get on. Oh, okay, let's do this. Let's turn the bandwidth down real quick so you can go get that iPhone 15 finally or whatever." So, Schuyler, what? Before we do our predictions, real quick, the whole buzz about Christian McCaffrey's been building. Stu just gave his opinion about whether or not the Panthers would trade him or not. Do you catch the vibe being around the building that McCaffrey's actually for sale, that they're actually actively trying to trade him, or this whole idea, if the right deal comes along, that they would trade him? Because to me, I look at it like I don't think they're wanting to trade him at all. I think they're just kind of answering the question. But what are your thoughts?
I think it's more of the latter, where they're listening to just about anything. We know Scott Fitter's background. He's not gonna ever just put someone on block or something, like when someone calls, like he's going to answer every call. He's going to listen to everything and hear what every GM has to say. But that doesn't mean that they're going to trade him. And I don't think that they are wanting to trade him. But if the right deal comes along, to get overwhelmed. I mean, hey, this is a running back that has had trouble staying healthy over the last 2 years. You paid him a bunch of money, and this year he's finally staying healthy. So, teams are going to show interest. They might get a little bit they may be willing to give something up that they weren't willing to give up a year ago. So I don't know. But I highly doubt that they would want to move on from Christian McCaffrey. I don't think that's their plan. And I don't see why they would want to do that, especially because, like I said earlier in the week, too, whatever head coach is going to come in here, the job has to be attractive. And if you trade away Christian McCaffrey, if you trade away anybody else, this job is not attractive at all. So I don't think that any coach wants to come in here and build this thing completely from the ground up again when you already have some key pieces that you can start building around right away.
Which we talked about last week. It's, my whole foundation of a house thing where it's like the foundation is there. Like we just need to dock off what they messed up on top of the foundation and just rebuild. But we've got all those names I just mentioned, from Derek Brown to DJ Moore to Christian McCaffrey. And I kept hearing this notion that, well, Christian McCaffrey's 26 and he's going to be at the end of his prime here soon. So now's the time you're supposed to trade him. No, now's the time you're supposed to use him. That's why we paid him. You're supposed to use him now while he's in his prime. Plus, yes, he's 26. And maybe, Stu, maybe you could respond to this.
My prime years were 27 and 28. I'll put it like that.
At most running backs, I think 28, 29 is when you really – it starts, the game gets slower.
It really slowed down when the year that we went to the Super Bowl. Everything was like slow motion.
See things better. And let me ask you this too, because this whole thing about, well, he's 26 years old, blah blah blah. He missed basically most of the past 2 years due to injury.
So really, he's 24.
That's my question to you, because you had a couple seasons where you missed some chunks of games because of injury. Did you feel like more rejuvenated when you got back because you weren't taking all those licks in those games? Like, do you feel like it added on to your career?
Definitely. As a running back, the carries you get, it's obviously wear and tear on your body, wear and tear on your lower half of your body. But I just think about guys that have shoulder injuries, back injuries, neck injuries, the things of those nature. Christian for 2 years didn't have to receive any of that impact. So for me, I had plenty of games that I've missed where I didn't have to endure that impact, which obviously helps with my healing process, which actually helps with, what my body can actually, take. It's one thing you have a shoulder injury 1 year, you get hit in the shoulder for the next 5 years. Like that's what you call wear and tear. Yeah. Now, having ankle injuries, toe injuries, Achilles, and all those types of things, foot, those are things that you can manage if done correctly. And, those are freak accidents. Those aren't things that, because you are running so much, that's why you got hurt. You know what I'm saying? Those are freak accidents that happen. So the wear and tear, I think at the end of the day, the years that I didn't play fully, that's the reason why I was able to play 11 years.
Thank you. I just wanted to just say something to that effect, because it's almost like people think he played those past 2 years and that there's mileage on the tires is what I keep hearing. I'm like, he played 10 games in the past 2 years, and we're seeing it now. Like when he touches the ball now, he looks like he did 3 years ago. Like he's still got the burst.
Yeah, the burst, I'll tell you this, that burst, when he turned that corner last week on that, when he caught that little check down, well, I felt like my hamstring about to fall off watching him run.
You see it a lot. I see it a lot in high school. Where it's like sometimes in high school football, you'll have the teams that are like have just more talent than the team they're playing against, right? Yeah. And you'll see it a lot, like especially if you're in the bleachers, where that quarterback or that running back, when they or that wide receiver that's just gifted, when they hit that corner and you can kind of see them separate from everybody else, that's what McCaffrey does. McCaffrey does that. When he gets
Christian's doing that type of thing at the professional level,
Yeah.
right? The
Wobble with
degrees, not just 1 degree, but the degrees of separation when he has the ball in his hand, the way he picks him up and puts him down, pat, pat, pat. Boy,
Yeah.
he'd be out of there, man.
He'll
So
throw
I
you
don't
over
want
his shoulder too. He laid down a
people
couple of dudes.
people are really like saying he's in his prime, he's past his prime. What in the heck is wrong with y'all? Y'all just ain't got nothing else to talk about.
I
They
don't
must
even
not
think
be.
he's in his prime. I think he
He's
hasn't even
not.
got his
He
peak
didn't
yet.
even.
Yeah.
He has. I don't even think he's touched his peak. He ain't
Like,
even. If
man, get this dude a
if he's
competent
climbing
quarterback.
if he's climbing Mount St. Helens, if y'all don't know what Mount St. Helens is, it's in Washington. He is probably like 1/3 of the way up.
I'd agree. Get this man a competent quarterback and a guy that can call plays. And he already did the double 1,000-yard year 3 years ago. He's the third running back in history to have 1,000 yards receiving and rushing in the same season. And that's with Roger Craig and Marshall Faulk. Like, you want to talk about like legendary running backs, and he's there. He's at that level now. He was basically a top 3 player, like when he got hurt in 2019 or 2020, when he got hurt that year. He was on the way to being a top 5 perennial player in the league, not just running back, but player. Like, every team wants this guy. So let's back off the whole let's trade McCaffrey for a 2nd-round pick and get something while we can thing. That's playing scared to me. Let's go and win some football games. Real quick before we get out of here, prediction time. Schuyler, you've been around the team all week. You've heard Wilkes talk. You've heard some of the players talk. Based on the vibes you're catching from them, what's your prediction for this football game? Because you've been picking against the Panthers for the past couple of weeks now. You've been right, but you've been picking against the Panthers the past couple of weeks. What say you, man? How do you feel about this game? They're back at home at BOA, 1 o'clock kickoff on Sunday. Who would you pick to win this matchup, and why? Panthers versus Bucs.
So do y'all want me to continue to be right or go with
what you feel, man? Go with your heart. Like, what do you think deep down inside? Like,
I just don't think we're going to see much change from last week's game plan. And the only reason I say that is because of what I just heard from Ben McAdoo no longer than an hour ago, and from what we heard yesterday from Steve Wilkes. It doesn't seem like the offense is really going to look much different, and that to me is concerning. So with that front seven that Tampa Bay has, that's a tough opponent to go against, and you may be working in a new starting center, Bradley Bozeman. Pat Elflein's dealing with a hip injury, so we'll see what happens there. I don't know. I just don't. I don't have the confidence to pick the Panthers this week, so I'm going to go 19-13 Buccaneers. But I promise you, I do have a win coming up here soon.
Well, that's good. Stu, your assessment here: Panthers versus Bucs. The teams kind of match up similarly. The Panthers haven't really came across a juggernaut on the schedule. They just found different variety of ways to lose these football games. What do you think going into this one? It's a home game. It's a 1 o'clock kick. We usually do well at 1 o'clock kickoffs. Panthers Bucs Sunday. What are your thoughts?
My gosh.
That tells you where he's going.
Yeah, I know you don't want to say it, but
hey. At least that we know what his.
I'm gonna start this off. I'm gonna start. So
right.
Before the season started, ladies and gentlemen, I was really talking trash about the Buccaneers and Tom Brady. I'm still a believer of the Carolina Panthers. I just want to let y'all know. If I was a betting man, which I'm not, I would bet on the Buccaneers to win this game, 27-13.
Good Lord, 27? They're gonna drop 27 on us, Stu?
I just feel like Tom Brady right now is at home. He doesn't have any plans this week. He's not going to any weddings. Things are settled at home. I think he's had an opportunity to really just kind of soak in to be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers quarterback this week. And this is a game where he might feel led to, make a statement. It's a division game. He knows it's a division game. And that's the reason why I'm saying the Buccaneers might pull this out 27-13. But in my heart, I really, 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 really hope that this game plan resonates with the Carolina Panthers of who they are to the core.
I'm
and just somehow pulls out with a win. But yeah, betting man says the Buccaneers 27-13.
I'm going to I think it's going to be a low-scoring game because I think both defenses will be the stars of this game, the Panther defense and the Tampa defense in particular. Tampa does very well with run defense, but I think they've always had issues with McCaffrey, if I'm not mistaken, just like in the screen game and that sort of thing. I think we need special teams in this game. I think they're going to be huge in this, whether it's field goals, good field position, that kind of thing. It's going to be a field position type of game. I don't think either quarterback's going to really take shots down the field. I do like the fact that Tampa can't seem to run the football. And I don't know if that's because of their offensive line issues or Leonard Fournette or whatever that might be. But having said all that, I think if they let PJ open up a little bit more than what they had him doing, and not a lot, you got to put 20, 30-yard bombs in here for him. Just put some play action in there, some RPO, mix it up a little bit so that the defense can be on. I mean, you can keep them honest. Like, that's what we did not do against the Rams. And I hope they learned that lesson from last week. If they change the game plan up enough to let PJ shine a little bit more, I'm going to pick the Panthers 17-10. I think that the defense, and we're going to get a defensive score somewhere in this game. So it's going to be a low scoring affair like it was past couple of weeks. Defense is going to come to play. They're going to make things happen. Special teams is going to be involved in this. And PJ just simply needs to manage the game, but they need to give him some more tools to be able to manage it more effectively than just throw left, throw right, hand off to Christian McCaffrey. Like, that can't be the offense next or on Sunday. And I don't think it will be. If it is, then I already know who I'm going to be mad at next week, and it's going to probably be Ben McAdoo.
Yo, I'm going to tell you why we mad, son. I'm going to tell you why we mad, son.
I'll just get it in there early because we come out here and play the same high school offense we did last Sunday. I have no one to blame but Ben McAdoo, and to an extent, Steve Wilkes for letting him do it. Like, we can't run that high school.
You know what, Desmond? I love your energy. Forget what I was just saying. I'm not a betting man. You know what? I'm not a betting man. So if I'm not a betting man, I'm not going with the Buccaneers.
Yeah. I love it. Yeah.
I'm keep pounding, man. That's what I am.
Yeah.
17-10, man.
Yes.
Come on, Steve.
Ben McAdoo, come with it now. Come on, dog.
You're a betting man. You're a betting man.
Come on, man.
We gotta get out of here. New episodes every Monday and Thursday during the NFL season. If you want to catch us, the video is always on Tobacco Road Sports Radio's Facebook watch and Tobacco Road Sports Radio's YouTube channel. Subscribe there. Thanks to everybody that's found us over the past 2 weeks for that. The audio version will be up shortly through the Believe Podcast Network, and that's available on all major podcast formats: Spotify, Google, iTunes, Stitcher, Luminary. Just search for Believe in Carolina Panthers. You'll find us there. Panthers at home, Bank of America Stadium, 1 p.m. Sunday versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We'll see if Panthers can get off of the loss train. 1-5 going into it. They need to win. 1-0 in the division, so it's an important game for both teams. Tampa coming in struggling too. They just lost to Pittsburgh and rookie Kenny Pickett last week. So let's see what happens here. But we're going to go 17-10 Panthers. Schuyler's going to pick the Panthers to lose again. So we'll see who's right. Schuyler's been right. Like 4 weeks he's been right. So for Schuyler, Callihan, and Jonathan Stewart, I'm Desmond Johnson. You've been watching and listening to the the Believe in Carolina Panthers podcast on the Believe Podcast Network, brought to you by Bet Online. Keep pounding.